Army?
Do you know Army?
Do you know Army?
Do you know Army?
Hi everyone, we are WWARMYTV. We are back. I am Sarah.
Zoe.
Juana.
And Mako.
And today...
You got it right.
I did. I
you
did.
remembered.
Only took 20 episodes. I got it, girl. I got it.
The last podcast we released, we were talking about all the news and buzz around PD Neem stepping down. And we just realized we had so much more to talk specifically about how all of these different changes, not just PD Neem stepping down, but all the changes within BTS and Hive labels and Army together, how we feel about them. And because we can only speak for ourselves. So generally, how we feel about these changes as Army.
One of my things that I've noticed that hit me the most is the fact that, and I don't even know how to describe it, but I have an Army membership. I have my black card, and I have Weverse, and I have VLive, and all this stuff, but I don't, whenever we first got our membership, we were like, okay, so now we can do this, now we can do that, now we can definitely get tickets, we can go, in the forefront of everything. But partially due to there not being anything that we can do, and partially due to while there is stuff, there's like 200 people in the whole world that they select from, right? Like if they say this opportunity is coming up to speak with our boys or meet with our boys or
like
go to
an
actual location, only 200 people can apply for it, or only 7 of the people out of that 200 will be able to do it. Like, even though I have this Army membership, it does nothing for me. I feel very distant, like I can't. There's
You're just
nothing
like a
that
drop
I'm
in a
getting.
giant ocean, basically.
Yeah, there's nothing that I'm receiving. There's nothing that I'm seeing or being able to have access to.
You still feel very
Non-Army.
limited or very not with the benefits.
You don't feel like an
I don't
Army
have that-
member.
Yeah, I feel like I don't
Well,
have
I
that
mean,
membership.
there is some benefits that you get in the box that they send you, which is not why we got the membership, right? We didn't get the membership for the box that comes along with. Can we talk about the memberships? Can
go
we
ahead.
talk about that? Can we talk about why there's a quadrillion of them now?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're noticeably milking us. Like, at first it was
Yes.
kind of on the down low.
Yeah.
We gonna milk y'all on the down low.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I feel like it's in your face. It's
Yeah.
noticeable. It's not a good look.
So,
So
like
let's start
packages.
let's start at the beginning. So we started talking about this a bit back about small changes developing into big changes. And one of the big changes was PD Neem stepping down. One of the other big changes was other people taking over. So you got 2 people controlling things here in the U.S. You got one or two people, no, really one person controlling stuff in Korea.
I think it's 2.
Okay,
It's still
is it
2
the
in
female, and then the
Yeah.
guy that's he comes from which company is that?
He's the former CEO of Nexon.
Of Nexon. Okay, so now I have no idea who went to Japan. I have no idea who's
Yeah, yeah, but there are some people in Japan.
Okay,
Yes.
so now you got to think about the fact that we're split in so many different ways, so many different areas.
We used to be split, and then K-Army welcomed the rest of the world, and now for some reason they're dividing us again.
Exactly. So when we felt like a well, by the time we started exactly feeling like a family and a unit and working together so well,
Worldwide Army.
exactly. Now you're starting to split up things. However, here's the thing that I had to learn how to develop in my brain. Our family, BTS and Army, and when we first started talking about this, I was very adamant about the fact that when I say family, it's BTS, Army, and the agency, Big Hit. But the agency has become so convoluted that I don't even, when I talk about it now, I don't even include that. Because the changes for BTS and Army, we are still a family. We're still a unit and still trying to feel the same. But the huge changes with the agency is the thing that's splitting apart, is the thing that's having so many changes. But inadvertently is going to affect our family, BTS and Army.
Yeah.
In small ways and then big ways.
Absolutely.
So that is causing, like Zoe just said, a division where we were finally spending lots of time, month after month, year after year, feeling like a unit, one family. So small changes leading to big changes. Monetizing things like we mentioned in our last podcast.
Monetizing things that should not be monetized,
and more specifically towards the membership. When we first, and I think we mentioned this before, when we first started actually investing in membership, paying a fee, because we always from the very beginning considered ourselves Army. Whether or not you pay a fee to be have a number attached to your name, or you don't. If you're Army, you're Army. And Correct. We always considered ourselves that. But when we started paying a fee and had a number attached to our name, and it was official, there was one fee and there was one membership.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, last year started with more than one option and more than one fee, more than one price tag on it. And then this year, my God, I have no idea how many. There's like
6 of them.
There's like 6 and 6 different because you can get this, you can get that, you can get this. However, you can have the basic membership, but then you've got all these other ones. And it doesn't make sense to have all the other ones because they all get you the same thing in regards to you get in line early for your ticket, in regards to being in drawings and different things like that. Like there's really no differentiation except the extra added bonus things that you get with that membership. And I don't know if I necessarily need extra bonus things.
And the package.
I mean, good Lord, you can only have so many photos.
Here's one of the concerns or curiosities that we have, where Army is always on YouTube and whatnot saying, so what about this? Or here's my theory on this and blah, blah, blah. Where's everybody saying what we're saying right now? Because there's no way, though, we're the only Army feeling this way and thinking these things. And granted, we definitely want to show our boys, hey, we're still here, we're supporting you straight up and sideways. But at the same time, where are the Armies speaking up saying, hey, we're just curious what's going on, where we're headed,
Absolutely.
and how
it's
are we feeling about this?
Are we the only ones
why is
that
there
are
6
actually
packages?
Yeah, why are we
My
the
thought
only ones
here
questioning things?
On that is like, if you think about the history of Army, it's not like we haven't had problems, and
Correct.
I feel like this is the first glaring problem that we faced as Army that has to do directly with our within our family, like an internal problem. Mm-hmm. Other than, the ones at the beginning, they were a lot technically smaller in scale and they were easy to overcome. But in this one, it's like, this isn't just a problem within Army. When it comes straight from, the agency, which has so much power over the interactions between Army and BTS, because unfortunately, they are the agent through which we can communicate with the boys. Mm-hmm. This is the first time we've ever had a problem like this, to this scale even. Mm-hmm. And I feel like some Army definitely don't notice, right? There's the Army that are either feigning ignorance or they really just don't realize what's happening.
And they just enjoy it as they go.
Yes, mm-hmm. Exactly. They'll be fine if they wake up tomorrow and it's a completely different BTS world. For some reason, they're fine with that. And that's okay. But then I feel like there's also some Army that are starting to feel skeptical, but they don't want to be problematic. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Especially because we mentioned before, there's so many Army that are on their own island. Mm-hmm. And they don't have, Army friends. And if they do have Army friends, they may not be very close and they don't want to strain that relationship.
To voice those direct opinions.
Right, by bringing up something that you can see right now, it does bring up certain emotions.
That they could get jumped on about.
Yes. Yeah. Everybody's going to feel some type of way about it. And I can completely understand an Army who doesn't have a safe environment that they feel like they can voice these things to be hesitant about feeling like saying something problematic, because I can easily see, especially online, where if somebody didn't know how to start this conversation, another Army could misunderstand it as them picking a problem with BTS. But we're not talking about the boys in this. We're talking about within our family as a unit, the dynamics of how everything's happening. This doesn't affect how we feel about the boys in any way. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna step out on an island in our safe environment and say that it's affecting me, and I'm speaking only for me. I have definitely felt some type of way, and it has made me take about 2 steps back from them, because I'm confused and unsure about where we stand.
That's fair.
And
where we stand with them?
Where we stand, period. where we stand, period. I started looking at them as family a long time ago. I felt that connection. I genuinely love these boys. Mm-hmm. And because there's been so many changes with so little communication and so many things that they're doing I'm just not on board with, it's making me wonder what the heck is going on. It's affecting me.
I think feeling distant from them is normal in this situation.
And that maybe that's added to it. The fact that we haven't seen them, the fact that
Zoe kind of brought that up the last podcast, that a lot of what a huge factor of what we are feeling, and I say we, the four of us sitting here, has to do with our separation with them as far as concert time and and FaceTime with them, which is kind of what you just said. I think
the lack of that, accompanied with all the changes that have been made, accompanied with the lack of communication, accompanied with, like, let me be clear, because I'm taking a step back, it's to regroup for myself, because what connected me to them is no longer connecting me to them. And
which was what?
Which was their music. Their music connected me to them. And the music that they're giving me now is not. I'm just going to be real. It's not connecting me to them. Their concerts and that type of thing connected me to them. And there's no concerts. So we're like not connected. And even though they're still doing the runs and every now and then they'll bless us with a V Live, I just feel like somehow they're disconnected. And if they're disconnected and I'm disconnected, where the hell do we go from there?
Yeah.
Like, they're telling us, please, keep holding our hand. Yeah. Please just stay with us. Please just hang in there. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere.
It's kind of like it's kind of like hibernation. Where we have been so far apart for so long, and it's not necessarily out of sight, out of mind, but we've been so far apart for so long, we are going into hibernation, and as soon as we are able to have that connection that we used to have again, we will come out of hibernation and be that strong, fierce bear of, I want my honey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I personally feel like I'm going into hibernation with them, because some of the things they are still doing, some of the runs, some of the V-Lives every now and again, but without that realm of walking into a concert air, or that realm of having those more musters and all of those things put in my face, and walking into that warm, exciting wildness of what they are, without that, and without having that music to connect me to them, which some of their music these days have connected with other people, just not with me, I'm going into hibernation. And as soon as I'm able to connect with them again, I'm definitely going to be as lively and as wildness with them as I used to be. It's just right now I'm kind of slipping into hibernation.
I have two things. Well, one of them is my thoughts on why not so much hubbub about the big changes. And it kind of touches on what Sarah said, that this is one of the things that is major, where in the past we didn't have. And when she said that, it kind of reminded me of the fact that I thought to myself that we have had some stuff in the past, because I was thinking Army has been very verbal about things, calling out PD and and calling out the agency on certain things. They have. And why not now is what I was asking myself. And then I remembered they called out PD and they called out the agency on quite a few things in years past that affected the guys, that affected them in a harsh way, because the guys are bulletproof and we keep them bulletproof. So they called them out more than once on that, and were quite verbal about it. But this is the first major thing that is actually has already started affecting Army. It has started affecting Army. It started affecting us. Our pocketbooks is starting to affect us emotionally. Yeah. So these small things that are sneaking up on us, and I firmly believe these things are sneaking. I feel like these things are just sneaking up on us, and we're not paying attention as Army. And we're not saying anything, not protecting ourselves. Not only do we have to keep them bulletproof, we have to protect ourselves as a fandom, as a family. Because if we don't, we're not going to be together and strong enough to keep them bulletproof. we're not. We're going to start falling away by the side.
Yeah.
And we're just not going to have it together to keep them bulletproof. It's a unit. So that's my thought on that as to why some are not as verbal, because they're not understanding that this is affecting us this time. And it has a major potential to affect us in a much larger way. And when that happens, we start raveling apart. That is potentially what I see coming. And that is extremely scary. That is the beginning to the end.
That is the beginning of
That's
the
the beginning
end.
to the end.
Yeah, it is.
The other thing is, and it goes back to our other podcast when I said about PD and Neem stepping down. And I was hoping that it would get back to the beginnings of a not stronger or sterner, but a better hand on management with them, because it's like, yeah, we blamed everything at the beginning on the pandemic of them not being there and not us not having enough togetherness. But now what? No, they're out there in the wind, just flapping around, and nobody's managing them as to how to keep going with us
Or how to keep that connection with
exactly.
us.
So I think kind of with this thing that they just did with the summer night, butter night was the boys or whatever they called it. I think maybe somebody was trying to think outside the box with that, and maybe trying to manage them by saying, hey, y'all need to do something. This is what y'all need to do. This is what we came up with. Let's do this for y'all with Army. Because what always sticks in my mind, there are things, little nuances that over the years stick in our mind. And y'all have heard me say this before. It blew me away and it touched me so deeply when Jen said, I love our agency. I came out in the hall one time and I heard two people talking about, hey, well, Army would like this. Well, let's do this. And they were really, brainstorming about what Army would like. And that moved Jen. And that was the agency we were used to. That's the agency he's used to. And I'm like, where's that agency? Where's that management? Where's that team? So maybe these particular individuals came out and said, hey, let's do this. Let's keep Army together. Let's keep y'all. And decided to do that night. But the big picture of it was that you have, 2 million armies now worldwide?
Oh, way more than that.
And you did a drop in a bucket of 200? How do you think that made all the other armies feel? How do you think that made everybody? That I understood your intent behind that night, but nice try, but that didn't hit. That didn't hit. That hurt
you can't.
in a way.
You can't.
That hurt.
You can't think about 1% of 100.
Yeah.
Like you can't think. If you're not thinking about the 100% of the 100%, then you need to. You're not in the right position.
And
you're not where we need you to be. When you're thinking about Army, you need to think about Army as a whole, not K Army, not J Army, not American Army. You need to think about Army as a whole.
What if you had a big family and you were really close to everyone? I'll put it something like, what if you had like 7 siblings or something, and you wanted to do something for all of them, but because you could only, for whatever reason, you only gave one of them a birthday present. I could understand what that sentiment is, and nobody's going to say anything about it because they want to be nice, but that doesn't mean you're not hurting everybody. Yeah. If anything, in that situation, you can almost kind of argue it would have been better for you not to do anything at all.
Nothing at all.
Not to do anything.
Absolutely.
So this is what I mean by the small things. I pay attention to small things. So when I first opened up that announcement, the thing that threw me off was the first part of it, and anybody that goes on to Weverse and sees the announcements that we get, because that's how they communicate with us on a big scale, or they're supposed to be. Some things fall through the crack. But I opened up that announcement, and when you go onto Weverse and you see the announcements, usually the first part of it is in Korean, and then you have to scroll up, and then you get the same thing in English and then the
Japanese.
next languages. The first part of it was in English. That surprised me. But then when they went on to the instructions as to how this is what it's going to look like, you fill in this part, you fill all of that was in Korean. All of that was in Korean. And then part of it is you had to put your Kakao ID. You had to put your K-Talk ID. That was a major part of it. You had to put that in there, and then you had to, that's how you were going to be identified. Not every worldwide army has Kakao. Not every worldwide army has a K-Talk ID.
Not even do they even know what that is.
Do you know how long I've had K-Talk? Do you know how long I've had Kakao? I have no idea what a K-Talk ID is. So just for and giggles, I went looking for mine. Can't find it. But you needed that. You absolutely had to have that to
And that's a standard
apply
app
for
in
this.
Korea.
You had to small details.
But it's really
and
not
that
small.
was the instructions in the English part of it. But when you got to how to apply, it shows you pictures and so forth and so all in Korean. But everybody that applied to win the raffle of being part of the 250 people each night, you had to be identified by your Kakai Talk ID. That's huge.
So you know who most of those people were? Korean.
I think
Which I don't have a problem with.
I do. I have a huge problem with
Here's why I say that. Yeah, you're right. Because K-Army gets a lot of time with BTS. Not so much, I can't even, K-Army gets a lot of time
I have a
with
huge
BTS.
problem with that because if you were brainstorming as to how to manage them towards spending more time and leveraging out the playing field between what the pandemic has wreaked havoc on, then you were narrow visioned.
Yeah, that's where I was getting to. I wasn't disagreeing with you all. I was in fact agreeing with you because this goes all the way back to when I said when you bring people in the company
Yeah,
who are not,
vision is
who do not understand, share, agree with what your vision is as a company as a whole.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, they bringing in these people from these other companies. They don't know what dealing with worldwide anything is.
And it's
so they
it's
only dealt with
reflecting.
K-Army, or they only dealt with Korean fans. That's where their mindset is.
Or not just Korean fans, but the Asian community, period. And that's not encompassing worldwide, and we are worldwide.
Because we know
and you
that
have to think broader.
We know their biggest fandom is not in Korea.
You can also just
their biggest
you can
fandom
tell,
is in Brazil.
So
you can tell what their staff, like the disconnect that the staff that's working on this project is because of these little things. I can completely argue that the people that came up with this specific event probably had no malicious intent.
Absolutely.
They just completely disconnected.
Exactly.
Like, they probably will truly believe that this would be something that was good for everybody, but they just...
and easy.
Yes, and easy. They just truly didn't realize
Didn't consider
how close worldwide Army really is. They probably thought that this wouldn't be a problem.
I'm gonna tell you, when I saw that announcement, I didn't even click on it.
Yeah.
I didn't even click on it. And when I start seeing things for these people have been chosen, I didn't even read it because it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
So to avoid all of that period, do you know how much I miss them? How dare you
Rub it in my face.
rub it in my face? How dare you decide upon yourself that I'm going to choose these special army to get this one-on-one? Like,
And they did that publicly.
it's so
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's
and
ridiculous.
on top of that, do you know how many armies cannot afford
Absolutely.
even the $22 for the minimum membership?
So
Yeah.
And this was members
Here's the thing.
only.
Yeah.
Here's the
As
thing.
if
Here's the
only
thing.
members missed them.
It's okay to do 200 people and select 7 people or whatever, but it would have to be done as a tier process. Like, so all of Army gets this wonderful thing, and then from that group of Army, you have to do this.
yes,
and we
it
can
didn't
select from
include
that.
anybody
And then
else
from this
on
group of
anything.
Army, do it in a tier process where every worldwide people can get something for free, can get something for $5, can get something for this, and then the
Yes.
pool that you pull from can start to shrink, but you
Start
can't
to
do
narrow.
immediately one option of only 200
Exactly.
people in the whole world get one opportunity for one thing.
And let alone,
Well, go ahead.
like, imagine how uncomfortable the Army, even who were chosen, must feel. Because yes, they're super excited on one hand, but I know that even in this example, can y'all imagine if only one of us was chosen to
Yeah.
do something like this?
Yeah.
That's just awful.
Yes, that would just be so hurtful.
Yeah.
Even for the person who was chosen.
We'd be excited. We'd be
Yeah.
excited for the other
But it
person.
would still be so
But
painful.
it'd still be so painful.
For
because we're
everybody
all-
involved.
Yeah.
But so these people are not thinking worldwide because
They're not.
even if they had did this on a country by country basis, being virtual, having the ability to communicate with everybody around the world is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
So they could have done this country by country. So in
Yes.
Korea, from this week to this week is for Korea. From this week to this week is the USA. Even from this week to this week is South Africa. Because now you can communicate with the places that you always say you want to go, but can't go.
Exactly.
And now here's an opportunity for you to go to those places. And this is what you come up with?
And it's not like you don't have the time.
Yes.
You have the time.
Or the bandwidth.
And make the time. And the bandwidth. Come on
Like you
now.
keep saying you want to do Pakistan. Okay, great. You want to do India? Great. Here's an opportunity to mingle with those your Indian fans. Here's an opportunity to meet with your Spanish fans from Brazil or like here is your opportunity to really
Exactly.
interact with Worldwide Army.
Exactly. So, getting back to the scope of what we're talking about, the fact that we are so passionate about this and we're so verbal about this, that these small things are starting to build and add up to big things, we're the voices. Why are we the voices that are out there and we're not hearing it on a grand scale? That is bothersome also, because as I said, I feel like it's gonna jump up and bite us in the ass at the last minute, and then Worldwide Army is gonna be like, raveling apart.
That's
and
like
we're not going to be
if
there
they
to
decide to do concerts only in Korea. Like if they suddenly start touring
hell
only
no.
in Korea.
So
that's the direction that we're kind of heading
exactly. So we're
towards.
kind of heading backwards because, as Mimi said, the mentality of the individuals that you are bringing in. Now, let's break it down even further. Let's start to divide things up, because BTS and Army, our family is what it is. However, that third part of our family, that agency, that's where the major changes started to happen. So you have, I can't call this man Scooter. Who named that baby? Anyway, you have this man who now has his clutches in, and I still can't fathom. I really need to look into that. How do you buy something from somebody, but then he still has control?
Yeah, he still has control.
Anyway, this man, Scooter, and the guy that came over from Korea, the CEO that came over from Korea, is now here with us, U.S. Army.
Mm-hmm.
And they are controlling part of HYBE here. So
what are they doing?
What are they doing? I'm very interested to see. You are not going to have U.S. Army's best interest at heart. You're not, because you're going to be focused on how to start a U.S. base of HYBE and catering to that U.S. feel and entertainment.
Whereas
and
Army and the U.S. are in love with the BTS feel and
and what are you going to do for us?
feel, not the
what
America.
are you going to do for us? Not a damn thing, because that is not your purpose here. That is not your purpose here.
And I don't even think he understands it.
That's not their purpose here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm making a true statement. That is not, because when I thought about the fact P. Neem stepped down, power went here, power went there, power went here. But P. Neem said, I'm going to still have hands in this, da-da-da-da-da. However, when I heard this and I thought about all that, I thought, okay, so we got this branch over here, we got this branch over here. Y'all remember, I said it on the podcast, I'm so excited to see where this is going to lead us. But then now I'm seeing a picture of, or I'm thinking deeper into, that's not what their purpose is going to be here. HYBE's purpose is not going to be that here, because they're trying to move it into a new, different era.
I don't know what era that is.
Exactly. It's not going to be
BTS,
towards,
not music, not Army.
it's not going to be catered
So and I
towards
say
us at
this,
all.
but at what point does our boys because there's so little communication, not our boys, our men, are they disagreeing with any of this stuff? Did somebody say, I don't think that's a good idea, but was outvoted?
No,
Like,
but what
how
stuff are you talking about? Be specific.
I'm talking about just general things like this whole situation with the 200 fans. Did nobody at the boys
so
think?
I think we're talking about, the reason I keep splitting it up
Mhm.
is because we're talking about two different things. I keep going back to the division with HYBE itself, and the division with HYBE, and then what's going on with BTS and Army. And because,
so that's BTS and Army.
Exactly, because the division with HYBE and the things that I think the changes that we're seeing that's happening with us the monetizing that we're seeing that's happening with us is because of the division with Hybe and because of the power changes and structures with Hybe. And I don't think BTS music has, I think what you're trying to think, correct me if I'm wrong, how much say do they have in what Hybe is doing?
The company itself.
In relation to ARMY,
I think,
how much say do they have?
They took at least part of that power from the boys a long time ago. And I don't know exactly how, and I don't know to what capacity, or if they just kind of swept the rug from underneath their feet.
It could kind of go into you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
That too.
That's exactly what it is, because BTS music, if you're going to make all these changes with Hybe, leave BTS music alone. But what BTS music is, we are ARMY membership, we are ARMY merch, we are ARMY concerts, we are ARMY and BTS, this, that, and the other. But we see all of that changing little by little. But is Hybe and the changes that Hybe is making and all of these, are they the ones that's making these changes happen with BTS music? And if so, why? Because BTS music was supposed to be left alone. BTS music is BTS music, not Hybe.
I just don't think anybody is left protecting BTS music. And this is something that I touched on in the PD Neem podcast that I was concerned about, because I think we talked about it just briefly. I think part of the reason is because, sure, they could, say at first that they're not going to touch BTS music. But to be fair, if nobody is left in that management role to protect the boys, what is keeping the Hybe labels from doing anything to it? Probably nobody is saying no to anything. Mm-hmm. Especially, we don't know whoever is left of the original team in BTS music.
Have y'all seen a change in the boys?
Honestly, it's I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be real. It's quite hard for me to watch them lately. I have not watched most of their V lives. It's hard for me to watch them. It's hard for me to watch them.
So I did watch the Jungkook one recently, just because it came up at a good time. But I will say it's hard for me too, because I don't know if I'm just projecting, but I have felt for a long time, ever since even the Grammys, way back into the Grammys before that the boys always look like they want to say more than they actually do.
Yeah, I think the last time I really paid attention was the interview they had on a show in Korea, which was their first show they attended in a long time in Korea. Of the first talk show they had attended in a long time in Korea. And when Jimin was starting to say that they wanted to perform at the Grammys and ended up doing Dynamite, and you could definitely tell that was edited, because as soon as he started talking about it, they switched to a very different subject.
I remember that scene.
And I think that was the last time that I paid a lot of attention, that I paid full attention, because of that. Partly because of that, because it was hard. It was hard because I feel like they want to say so much, and because they want to say so much and cannot, I feel like everything is just the same cookie cutter stuff that they're giving us. The same cookie cutter stuff that they're giving us.
Wow, that's perfect. I think that's exactly what's happening. Cookie cutter stuff.
Yeah, and so because they're giving us the same cookie cutter stuff, the personalities that we fell in love with are on hold.
Yeah, they're fading.
Yeah, they're on hold.
Well, I asked that. Go ahead.
With that, where's your creativity going? Now, Minyoongi just keeps on giving the hits. If y'all saw the
well, y'all will never hold down.
Yeah, Minyoongi, you can't hold down the Genius Lab. When he what he did for Samsung, that was incredible. But I have no idea how long ago he did that, But where's your creativity going? Because when you start to stamp out the passion inside of an artist, you start to messing with their creative side,
Yeah,
So.
I just I think that I don't know how to put it, and please nobody listening take offense, because I don't know how to put it. I think we're a special breed of ARMY. I think when we say we love them, we mean it. And when we say we care about them, we mean it. And when things are changing and things are affecting them and affecting us, we talk about it. Because for us, BTS is more than just music. These are genuinely individuals we have come to learn and understand and appreciate. And if you don't know what we're talking about, listen to all of our podcasts on each individual member and you will get just a small glimpse of what I mean.
It's not just we like their music. That's not where it ends. It's not like I like this artist.
Yeah.
You know, that's not where it ends. I mean,
Yeah.
why would we make a whole freaking podcast?
Yeah.
And it just it bothers me, just as if they were standing next to me, and as if I talk to them every day, and then all of a sudden they start behaving differently.
Why did you
going
ask?
to affect me?
Why did you ask if we saw a change?
Because I saw a change.
Mm-hmm.
In what way?
I saw a change. Like when they got the new building, I saw some smugness there. And I think the smugness comes from, that silver spoon in your mouth, that they came from this no-named company and now look where we stand in. Like, look where we at now. You can't say nothing about us now, can you? And one thing fame does, or one thing fame has the ability to do, is change people. Mm-hmm. And one thing I really love about the boys is the same Jen I saw 5 years ago is the same Jen I want to see forever. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see fame or celebrityism change you in a way that's not good.
Yeah, those same individuals that we've watched over the years clean up and pick up after themselves.
Yeah.
When they're in public.
Yeah.
And they know they've made a mess.
Yeah.
We want those same individuals always.
Always.
But you feel like you are starting to see a change
just
in
a little bit of a
personality?
change. Just a little bit of a change, because that's how close we watch them. Mm-hmm. That's how close we are. If Sarah had started making some changes, I'm going to notice it. I'm going to notice some changes in you, and I've just noticed some slight changes, and I'm just not sure, but I just think that this pandemic needs to be over so we can reconnect. But back to the original topic of this whole thing, which is, why is Army not saying anything? I don't know, but we're saying something. And if
anybody is listening and paying attention, you should have some concerns. You should have some concerns, because as I said for the fourth time, everything that begins to affect Army as a whole negatively, we're going to start unraveling. And in that way, we are not going to be able to hold ourselves together and hold them together and protect them.
Correct.
For me, what I wanted to build on is that what's weird for me in terms of like communication with the boys is something, what I personally keep thinking back on is, in my memories of BTS, they're the type who will jump on V Live the same week that any small thing happens, or talk about any small thing that happens.
The boys that after a concert, we know we're getting a V Live, or after an award show, we know we're getting a V Live.
Yes, after concerts, after award shows. I mean, an incident I'll even bring up is like when Jungkook, he hurt his foot and he was crying on stage. Mm-hmm. One, showing that level of vulnerability that he was willing to do despite them being so professional, like the level of professionalism we know about them. And then he even made a V-Live about that. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to address it because Army knows why he was crying, but he still felt like he needed to talk to us about it. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's hurtful to go from that to suddenly feeling like it's radio silence. I mean, I even felt the same thing when I was watching his V-Live recently. And for me, one of the changes I at least perceive is that I feel like the boys are always apologizing to us lately. Like they apologize in little ways, and that they also seem like they feel guilty. Like, I think they know that they aren't talking to us as much as they should. But I also feel like they're being censored in some way too, like Juana, what you brought up with Jimin. And we've never experienced that before. Exactly.
Yeah, that's when you go back to controlling the artists like they're not human beings.
I think it's hard for them to talk to us. So if they are being censored, and after all these years they've always been direct and upfront with us, but now they're being stifled, it could be just really hard for them to try and present themselves to Army on a V Live, knowing that they have to put on a facade.
Because that's not who they are.
Because that's not who they are. And so they probably wound back on presenting themselves in front of us, because I'm not going to be fake. I'm either going to be real with Army, or I'm not going to present myself in front of Army at all.
Yeah, and that is close to giving us nothing, because when you get, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the V Lives, I do, because to have you come on is exciting, and appreciative. I appreciate it, but when you come on to V Live and you seem like you really have nothing much to say, and that you are doing it because it's simply your turn to do it. That that says a lot. That says a lot. And during this pandemic, this is not the first round of those that we've had. That's fine. You're running out of material to give us. And that's understandable. It's probably because of the pandemic, but it's starting to reflect as far as our relationship goes. It's starting to reflect. What does that say about our relationship if you're running out of material, and you don't know how to address it?
I mean, that still goes back into if they are being, I mean, if you are a real, genuine person, outside and behind doors, to have someone come to you and saying, so this is what you're allowed to talk to Army about. You can't go off script. Yeah. Constantly, every single time, like, okay, I'm going to talk to Army. Okay, fine, I'll follow this script. Okay, I'm going to talk to Army. Okay, fine. You know what? I'm not even going to say I want to talk to Army right now. I can't do it again.
No, we don't need to investigate.
When you're being censored, what can you do? What kind of material do you have? So, like, I get that.
When you keep getting muzzled, you lose the will to continue to even try to speak. You're being muzzled.
I mean, it's clear that their PR team changed a long time ago, because you could notice a complete shift in their general tone, like their general what they talk about. It just flip-flopped at some point, and we noticed that a long time ago. Yeah.
So where do we go from here?
That's the question. Where do we go from here? I think that if we leave, our listeners with anything, is we want to encourage other Army. I'm not telling you to take to Twitter and tweet high labels and scream at them. I'm not telling you to do that.
Absolutely.
I am simply saying to be more willing to acknowledge if you're feeling skeptical, like we are, and to talk about it. Because I think that at the very least, if we don't know where to go from here, I think that at the very least as a family, if there's an issue, we should talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let it be known.
The more we voice it, the more they'll be forced to see it.
Exactly, and that's what I think the point of this whole conversation is. If we don't say anything, then we just keep getting used. So if we don't want to get
just pause it.
You're in Lori's spot.
That's the whole point of this conversation. When I'm spending money, it's because of the boys, and now when I spend money, I feel like it's not because of the boys. It's because of
you need to stay in the loop.
I need to stay in the loop.
I'll keep up with it.
Yeah, or it's because of hype. Like, we're not a cash cow. We're a cash cow, but we're not like, we don't want to be treated like a. Can somebody help me out?
No,
We don't want to blatantly be treated like a cash cow.
Yeah, we don't want to blatantly be treated like.
I would be less offended if they literally put up a website that said, this is our fund for you to contribute to help us keep afloat while we can't have concerts. I'd feel less offended if they literally opened up a charity fund.
Right.
Rather than do these backdoor monetization. It feels like someone is slipping through my back door and just pulling money out of my back pocket instead of just going to the front door and asking
It's like
for
that.
it.
It's like that cousin you got. They'd be like, "Hey, let me borrow $5." And then you gave him $5, and then he 5 minutes later, like, let me borrow $5. Like, didn't I just give you $5? No, you didn't give me $5. Give me nothing.
Or you open the door and they asking the next person for another $5.
Yeah, didn't I just give you?
I just gave you $5.
It's dirty. The way that they're getting money from us is dirty.
We buy these things and we do these things in case somebody is listening. We do these things and we buy these things out of the love and respect that we have for the boys. Don't use that against us.
And always allow us to feel like everything we do is worth it.
Yeah.
Because look back even a year ago, everything we do, everything we purchased, everything we felt like it was worth it. You are allowing us to purchase things or asking us to purchase things, and good that you're telling us ahead of time that it's not going to be video on demand. But damn, that's insane.
It's feeling less and less
been
worth it.
That way.
Yeah,
It's feeling less and less worth it.
Yeah.
So at least let us feel like our money was worth it. So because it is worth seeing. But when I watch the concerts and when I watch the muster and when I watch anything that they put on, I don't care if they're sitting there in a room reading out of the telephone book in Korean. Whatever I'm watching, I want to feel like I can go back to it anytime I want to. Anytime I want to. And we did not mention, before we go, we did not mention the fact that there is now a channel. A channel or an app or something that is only, it may be in other Asian countries, I don't know. But it's only on Korean stations that you can get all BTS content. Why is that not worldwide? Why is that not worldwide accessible to us? Somebody.
And at the very least, Army members should be able to know where to go to access it. And then those Army members would be able to tell everybody else.
Exactly. And not only that, it has been pushed and advertised.
How did you find out about it?
They talked about it when it first came out.
They talked about it.
They advertised it. And then in Suwuzu, it had commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I
think there was an ad in
this. You're
Weverse,
pushing
too.
this. You're telling us about this. But you know well
we
that it is
can't
not
get it.
worldwide Army accessible. And I'm trying not to yell and raise my voice. But it's like that, Armies. It is stuff like that. I know you watch Suwuzu. And please tell me I'm pronouncing that thing right.
I think so.
Suwuzu, yeah,
Okay.
I think that's correct.
So, first of all, when we used to watch stuff like that, it didn't have freaking commercials.
No.
Our muster
I
had
paid to
commercials.
watch this.
Yeah.
Our muster had
I already
commercials.
gave you money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you getting
And
more money on top of money?
One of our commercials was that particular channel or app or whatever it is. I don't even know what it is because I don't have access to it. But it has all BTS content. And you can go and watch concerts, and some weeks they have this, and some weeks they're airing that, and so forth and so on.
Yeah, that makes me mad because that's some Japan Army stuff, and don't even get me started. They got a secret organization of. Don't even get me started.
Okay, all right.
Stop turning my BTS into a cash slot, okay?
Stop turning.
I'm not like a casino.
Well, stop turning Army anyway.
All right. Yeah.
That's how we feel about
Woo,
it.
let's
But
end on a
that
positive
being
note, though.
said-
How can we end this positively?
Yeah.
Somebody? Anybody?
So we are farther ahead than we were 5 months ago in the pandemic. Like we're closer than we were.
We're gonna come to.
We're
the
not
end of
that
this.
close, but we're closer than we were.
We're gonna come to the end.
Look,
of
because we still ticket holders, and
We
I'm not
sure
sure
is.
if that means anything as of today.
You will have to pry
We
my
are
ticket from my
ticket-
cold, dead hands.
We are ticket holders. We are ticket holders. That's a positive
We are getting
thing.
we're closer than we were. That's for sure.
And if you live here in the States and you are listening to this podcast, and I know it seems a little bleak right now because of numbers and so forth and so on, but stay Army strong.
Stay Army strong.
Because despite what it may seem, we are just slowly coming to the other side of
really
this.
are.
Yeah.
And please
We
get
are.
vaccinated.
Alright.
That's polite asking.
Yeah, that was polite asking.
Yes, get vaccinated.
With that,
Now you know Army.
bye everyone.
Love you.
Stay safe.
Yes,
safe.
absolutely.